Doing a little build with this Loc-Line. I'll be using it for a different purpose than it's meant for. What it's meant for is directing cooling fluid to a cutting surface. So I'll be using it for holding a camera light or a GoPro or a phone. So I'll be connecting this stuff to metal surfaces most of the time. So I got various different magnets to try out. From 1 1/4" all the way up to 3 7/16. Pretty big ones here. And I've been experimenting with it. The problem with the non-rubber coated ones, these guys, while they're super strong, they when they slap to painted surface, they'll literally just chip off the paint because it hits so hard. And then this is one of the smaller rubber coated magnets. They got a bunch of little coin cell magnets in here. This one has it's nice because it has a little 1/4 20 thread on it, a little bolt coming out. But I found they're a little too weak for most part. Doubling them up is a little better, but still kind of weak. Then I went to the 2 5/8 magnet here. This one is a 1/4 20 thread. It's really short and it becomes a little bit of a problem, but it's nice to have a 1/4 20 on there because all the camera gear is 1/4 20. So to get that hose to connect anything, they sell this base plate piece. It has a 1/4 inch hole right at the bottom. So your line will connect right up into there, and you can use the 1/4 20 or M6 bolt to connect to that. On the opposite end of the line, the base won't, because it's going to be 2 female pieces. You have to use a coupler, and they sell this coupler as well to go here and here, so you could have a base on each side. That allows you to hook up a GoPro mount or a phone mount, or we could tie anything else you could bolt to with a M6 or a 1/4 inch bolt. These bigger magnets, one problem I found is they have a bigger bolt on them. This is an M8 bolt, and it won't fit in here, and you can't really drill this out to be bigger because it's pretty small sidewalls on there. So I found this handy dandy thing. This is an angle bracket for 40/40 extruded metal. And they use that 40/40 extruded metal for making cages for 3D printers and such. Or the 20/20 is a smaller version. But this is a nice pre-made angle bracket. And just so happens to perfectly fit with this to be like a nice mounting plate for this base here. And it gives you kind of a hand grip to pull it off when it's magneted on. Here I kind of pre-bolted one up. So we have it bolted on there. This one bolted on here with a 1/4 inch bolt. And here's your Loc-Line on that. You can put a little light or GoPro on in there, or your cell phone, and kind of angle it wherever you need to get your video. And then for me, I have this metal surface here, so it's, or on the side here. So I did some bit more experimenting, and the strongest mount I've found for it not rotating, not popping off, would be like a double the 2 5/8 magnets here. Without any drilling, it'll go right in here as such. And you put the 2 there, it helps a ton stopping it from rotating. So if you have the Loc-Line come out the side, it won't rotate. Just to show you here, even with this big magnet, it doesn't take much for the magnet to just kind of slip on the painted surface without even making the Loc-Line undo. But when you go to here with the double magnets, it just gets way stronger. So I could put like a ton of force on there and it's not really hardly rotating, and it takes a lot of force, probably 25 pounds to get it pulled off even at an angle. And one more thing about this Loc-Line, if you do find you got a lot of it out here and the joint might be a little loose, I found just roughing up the socket both inside here and around this edge right here, just roughing it up a little bit for like 30 seconds, get kind of scratched up. Really, right here I have one that's not done that way and one that is done that way with the sandpaper. This one with the sandpaper, it is way harder to get to move, so it's way tighter with that little extra friction compared to this one, which moves somewhat easier, but really changes that socket strength for holding something. So depending on application, if you find it's too loose right at the base, you roughen it up a little bit and that'll get way tighter. I think this is nice for, this direction. If you're not going off to the side much, this is way better for stability if you do gotta go off to the side. And one thing I'm going to put on here is like one of these lights, a couple of these lights actually. Instead of using this tripod here, having this always in the way, I want to be able to basically take a light off here and shine it at the area that I'm working. This is kind of a neat little simple, super simple. It's really just one of those 2 5/8 rubber coated magnets with the 1/4 20 bolt coming off the top, just bolted right in. And when I was talking about how short this is, literally when it gets into that base, there's probably a couple threads showing. So the only thing you're going to be able to get on there is a nut. When you tighten it down, it might grip onto 2.5 threads. Possibly a third. No, 2.5 at the most. So I'm thinking you're going to have to use some Loctite glue on that to keep it from loosening up on you. But good thing is it really jams into this rubber, so it won't rotate at all. So I think that would be a pretty solid hold. And the neat thing about that is this thing's very compact compared to like your tripod. Instead of like trying to get it in your working area, it literally just put it wherever you want and you're good to go. Get your camera pointed at what you want it pointed at. Again, this works really well with like a little GoPro because the GoPro is pretty lightweight. So we'll mount the GoPro connector here, and we can literally just point it at wherever you want. Same with those little 2" by 2" lights. It's pretty sweet. You can get a couple of these and just boom, boom, boom in different areas and have lighting right where you want it. So the cheapest way to get this stuff is buying it in bulk. This is 20 couplers, 20 base plates, and a whole 25 feet of the Loc-Line in 6" segments. They at least put a few together for you. They actually take a bit of pressure to get them to hook up. Like connecting these two together. There you go. So now it's double that length, a foot, 1 foot. And without scuffing them up, I just use a cloth or something and pliers here. You can literally, if you want to take the base off here, you could pop off the base here, as such, like that. So now we have the base, and if you see in there, there's that one nut. Looks like it barely got a few threads to hold on. I wish the 1/4 inch was a bit longer so I could get a full bite on that nut, but it's not, and I could not find anything else. So that's most of the show and tell of the different things. So I'm gonna start building up a couple of them and see how it goes. We can see how well it works with like a GoPro on it. Have a you know, a phone on it with like the phone connector, and then a light. I'm actually gonna try one of these long lights. It's about a 1.5 foot long LED. Let's see how that goes. The other option is using the little tiny 2x2 battery celled lights. So let's get to it.